right, guys. Welcome to the Vertical Shift Podcast, where we engage in candid conversation about life topics and real issues from a Christian perspective. I'm Justin.
I'm Jeff.
And I'm Tommy.
What?
Hey, guys.
We're back together.
Dude, that intro sounded so smooth.
Man,
Like
so much
better.
better than what it's been.
Like better. Wait, what?
Sorry, Tommy.
Justin, you are back. The band is back together.
Band
What?
is back.
Man, welcome,
thanks.
friend.
Welcome back,
I
man.
appreciate it. I even got real shoes on,
Man.
just for the record.
Yeah.
Yeah, you do. I'm looking at
Yeah,
them.
yeah.
Stepping it up.
Well, while you've been on vacation, Justin, Jeff and I tried to hold it down. It was a disaster.
Yeah,
But I mean, it made for good comedy.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, so
I think y'all did great. Aubrey was great. It was awesome.
yeah, Ernest was really
Ernest
good.
was great.
Yeah.
We got a guest with us tonight.
Yeah, we do.
So we'll get to that in just a minute. So before we do that, y'all, I haven't told y'all this either.
I don't know.
And it's one of those stories that's probably like, why am I going to tell it? Okay. And the reason I'm going to tell it is because it makes for a good story. It's a good story. And it's 100% true. Which you'll know it will, and it is when I tell. Anyway,
Is this one of those where you tell us and then we make fun of you and then you get mad that we make fun
yes.
of you? Okay, go ahead.
Yes. So I got a new hobby, bow hunting. I got me a bow and arrow, compound bow. Friend of mine has a really nice one. He doesn't use it anymore. I was going to buy it from him, and he actually said, "Hey, I don't want your money. I want you to use it and enjoy it." So it's been a perfect thing.
Oh, a free hobby.
Well, that's
I'm
not,
not
the
even-
hobby's
no.
not free. I mean, hunting is not free. Obviously, it's expensive.
Oh.
You know, for all the clothing and the gear.
Oh, when you pay for the animals to run out. So I got it.
No,
I was talking about real
No,
hunting.
Oh, yeah, the bougie hunt. Yeah.
No, let me make that clear. This is not that hunting, but you have to, have a lease and I'm in a club. Anyway, that's not the point of the story. Point of the story is I'm starting to learn how to shoot a bow and arrow.
That's awesome, man.
So a compound bow, if you are familiar, you don't use your hands to pull the string back. You have what they call a release. It hooks in to the D loop and you pull it back, and then it's like a trigger. You pull a trigger. Well, there's a couple different styles of releases. You have a finger, like a pointer release. So you use your pointer finger like a trigger release. And you have a thumb release. Well, my friend had both types of releases that he gave me with the bow. So day one, I got the bow. I'm at the house. And you never want to pull a bow back without an arrow in it, just because in case you accidentally let the string go, if it has nothing to shoot out, all of the energy goes back into the strings, messes up the cam and
Right.
everything.
You almost think you'd want to go the other way, like for practice, not have an arrow.
Well,
Arrow.
if you accidentally fire it,
no, I
though,
get the
It's like,
logic.
make
I
sure your
just-
gun's loaded.
Yeah,
Right?
just make sure there's an arrow in there, even if you're pointing it at your truck.
Point at my what?
Your truck.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Not what
No,
I thought
sorry.
you
Go
said.
ahead. Keep going.
So I'm just trying to pull and mess with the bow. I'm pulling it back. I'm letting it back. I'm learning like these releases. I'm feeling how the releases feel. Well, I grabbed the thumb release, and I'm in the house, and I'm just pulling the bow back, and I'm like, man,
With
this
an
is-
arrow.
I'm pulling the bow back. I'm like, man, this is pretty nice. I left, shot the freaking bow, the arrow straight through my fireplace mantle. Christine was outside at that moment, like getting some groceries out of the car, and she walked back in, and the look on my face was like, hey. She's like, what'd you do? I didn't do nothing. What are you talking about? Don't look over there. So
I hung a new picture on the wall.
So, come to find out, it wasn't a thumb release; it was a pressure release, and I was putting the pressure on it to fire it, and it shot the arrow straight through my mantle, dude.
Oh,
It's like a
my
bullet
goodness.
hole now in my mantle. So I need to find a painter. If you guys know a painter,
We're not doing this. Not on the air.
what? Do what?
No.
Do what? But
That's hilarious.
That's
a funny story.
So the point of that story is, don't pull your bow back
Practice
inside the
outside.
house. I'm so thankful I wasn't pointing at like the TV or my
your
kid
wife. Who was outside. Yeah.
or like the
Yeah.
cat. But anyway, it could have been a lot worse.
Man, that's hilarious.
What would you have said to Mason if he had done that?
I don't know.
What are you doing? Why are you in the house with a bow and arrow?
Oh,
I could hear you now.
I said that to myself.
Right.
I mean,
oh, man.
That's
well, then
wild.
they made fun of me. They came in. Look, Mason came in. He wasn't there then,
Yeah.
and I didn't tell him. But he came in. He goes right over this. It's just like a bullet hole there. He goes right. What is this hole right here? I say, boy, you better get up out of here. He was making fun of me. So
Yeah. No, you know, Justin, Tommy has here recently asked me for 2 quotes for paint jobs. And I've given them to him, and then he doesn't hire me for the job.
Yeah.
It's like I'm going to do it myself. I'm like, why do you
Maybe he
keep
just wants to
asking
put
me?
enough holes in the wall before you come over. So he's getting his money worth on spackling and painting.
Maybe that's it.
Yeah.
Maybe that's it.
Oh,
well, I mean, the guy is like his prices are like gold plated painting over here. I was like, dude, I'm just kidding.
so what, you think if you just ask for enough quotes, it'll keep going down? Things only go up, Tommy.
That's right.
That's true. No.
Yeah.
I mean, you said free estimates, so I'm trying to get an estimate. You didn't
Actually,
even
I
come over.
didn't. Let's talk about that right now.
Which is, here's your
Yeah.
third quote.
Oh, hey, we have
I
a
think he
guest.
just wants to know how much paint he needs for the job.
Can you hit that one of those buttons over there? I don't
Which
know.
one?
I don't
Which
know.
one?
Just
I don't
something
know.
to change. Hey, let's talk to our guest,
All right, let's do that.
Tyler. What is up, man?
What's going on, guys?
You have a good radio voice,
Yeah.
nice and smooth.
Pretty nice, huh?
Yeah, well, it was until you said that.
Yeah, I like it. I'm drawn in, Tyler.
So, Tyler is here with us today, y'all. He's an OG. I would call him an OG. Wouldn't you call him an OG?
Yeah, absolutely.
Tyler's been in our group since probably like day 3-ish. I don't know. Month or so. I don't know. A few months after we started. Tyler joined the group. And been together ever since. What, years now?
At the Genesis.
Probably the Exodus. That's probably the Exodus.
Yeah, he probably did come in around Exodus. Fun fact about Tyler. He is the only person that's been on a mission trip with me that's passed out.
That is true.
Oh, well, he
Yeah.
was on a mission trip with me and Justin, too, on that same trip.
But I'm just saying, of all the mission trips I've been on, no one's ever passed out except Tyler.
Well, we thought he died.
We did think,
Yeah, there's a difference between passed out and temporarily dead.
being resurrected
Yeah.
in the jungle.
Yeah.
So, hey, have you guys ever seen these like clips, these reels of these guys at the slap competition? Like they slap and then they knock out and then their head hits the table?
Yeah.
Well, minus the slap, that was Tyler because his head.
Look, I'm going to
bounced off
say
the
this
table.
for the air just because it's so funny what Tyler said. So after he's revived, one of my favorite parts of that trip is we finally get to Bogota, and we're in a mall, and it has a legit food court, like all of the American food you could think of, and we all split up to go get our food and then come back to eat together in the food court. And Tyler is sitting there with like it's a Burger King
Yeah, Burger
double
King. That's
Whopper
what I
or
remember.
something. And I remember Tyler's just, real quiet. He takes like 1 or 2 bites. He's like, out of nowhere, he's like, boys, I'm back. I was like, oh my word. That was the funniest thing ever after the most scariest thing ever.
So, not only are we on a mission trip, but we're in the middle of literal nowhere. I mean, there's no automobiles, there's no roads. They don't even have money. I mean, we're in the middle of a village in the Amazon jungle. And this guy goes and passes it, like dies. So we're sitting eating breakfast. I just got to tell a story now. I mean, 'cause people have to
You're committed.
visualize this. So we are sitting in a hut. Jeff, help me. We're in a hut, like not even a house. Like we're in, these people live in huts.
Yeah. I mean, good breakfast, too. Man.
very good. I remember what we were having that
Yeah.
morning.
Me too, like
Yeah.
egg hot pocket, like homemade.
Yeah, it was
hot
really
pocket.
good.
Like
Man, so
they
good.
need their own dough and all of that. Anyway,
Yeah. I'm hungry again.
I was looking at Tyler.
See, I
think-
was too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because he was kind of at the head of the table.
Uh-huh.
And he was just like staring. I mean, and then it was like lights out. I mean, and I thought he was playing until his head literally hit the table and bounced off the table, and he fell like weightless
It was
onto
scary.
the floor.
Yeah,
Right.
it was really scary.
Now, we all rushed down to him.
-1.
-1, Hunter, we call him out. We just got to call it like
Yeah.
it is. Hunter started eating his food.
Hunter was hungry.
He
Yeah.
started pulling his plate over
he's
his
like,
food.
he's like, if Tyler's not going to do it, I'm going to take this one on myself.
I mean,
We're all
he's-
concerned about a friend, and Hunter's trying to figure out how quick or if Tyler's done with his food.
shout out to Hunter. Shout out.
Oh,
Shout out to
Hunter.
Hunter.
Oh, Hunter.
So yeah, that's another story we got to tell one day. Why he's called Hunter. Anyway, so we are trying to revive Tyler, and chest rubs. I think we were flipping a coin to mouth, but luckily he came back before we had to do that. But that was scary.
He bounced back pretty quick, but it felt like
Yeah.
a long time.
Yeah. And even not know, I think, we said a couple things probably just because of the way they cook food and not having sugar and low blood sugar and all. Who knows what
It's
it was.
hot.
But
It's,
yeah, you're sweating all the time out there.
Yeah.
But yeah. Yeah, man.
But Burger King brought him back.
Burger King, man.
boys, I'm back.
Yeah.
I remember that. Too.
Oh, man.
that was that same time we and I were trying to order a pizza.
Yeah.
No, that didn't work.
That was a disaster.
To my credit, Jeff said he only got stronger from there.
Oh, really?
Yeah. You
Yeah.
can only go up.
Yeah. 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 That's awesome.
Oh man, that is Tyler.
Man, I'm glad you're on, dude. Yep.
Yeah, it's going to be good.
We have a very interesting story. It really weaves in a lot of God showing up in your life, and I think it's very inspirational for me personally, and I know that the one or two people that listen to this will find it inspirational as well too. So
Yeah. So, Tyler, we want you to kind of dive in to this particular time in your life that this story took place, and kind of tell us what happened, and then we'll talk about it a little bit, but tell us what was going on and what happened and how God showed up in that.
So first of all, thanks for having me, guys. I just look at these books back here, and it's so organized. The vibe is just.
he's talking about the studio.
This is really good. It's just awesome. But I'll get to business. So I guess to set the scene, if you go back to 2017, around August of that time frame, and correct me if I'm wrong here, but I think at that time our church was looking for an associate pastor. Sometime you had come on the scene, maybe a little bit before that, and we started immediate discipleship relationship that's been very beneficial. But at that time, I had been at the organization I currently work at for probably a little over a year, still trying to find my place in the organization. Had just gotten, a job that I could really do well, and God had just blessed that. And I was just really growing in my faith. I had a son, he was born about a year earlier.
Wow, you're early. New definition of premature. Sorry. Sorry.
Rookie misspeak.
Rookie
Hey,
misspeak.
you can't. Hey, we're not gonna let you get away with nothing around here. No, I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
So my wife, she was also pregnant with our second child at this time. She would later be born around April of 2018. So was coming from work one day, decided to take a different way home, which was a little unique. Had been kind of stressed that day with work, talking to somebody about it on the hands-free device, of course.
Of course.
Good disclaimer.
Yeah.
So I go down a ramp, and I don't really honestly remember much from there. But, I'm told what happened is that I pulled out in front of somebody. I was T-boned in my left side. Totaled my wife's Honda Civic. We ended up paying for that thing from college, so it was close to home, and it was surely hit over $200K. So we loved that thing. But I ended up in the med in Memphis. I was still had a concussion at this time, so all this that I'm sharing, my wife and others, I put the story together over the years, bits and pieces. But they took me for a for a CT scan at the time.
Did you have an ambulance come pick you up from the scene?
Yes.
Yeah. So you went to the hospital, and the med is a trauma center. Just for,
Yes.
Yeah. So you went to the med via ambulance from this accident, and now they're going to set you up for a CT scan, obviously, because you had a concussion.
Check you out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thought you did. I mean, yeah. So go ahead.
So I think initially the radiologist scanned from about the chest up because they were concerned with, any brain swelling or things from the concussion. I'm sure a doctor reviewed me and did the concussion protocol. So she brought me back in. I think my family's there at this time, my wife, my father-in-law, and she mentions, well, there's nothing showing up on your scan, so I think you're good to go. Is there anything else you need? And I'm told at that moment, I said, well, there's actually some pain in my left side. So she goes, well, let's just take every precautionary measure and let's go back and look at it. So at that time, they decided, let's do a full body scan. So the report came back from that everything was clear, yet we see a tumor on your left kidney that we would highly recommend you get checked out from your urologist sooner rather than later. So I guess projecting in to the psychological effects of that, right? Like
Yeah.
got a 1-year-old son and a daughter on the way. You certainly think about leaving this world and how to provide and those kinds of things. But we scheduled an appointment immediately with the urologist. I'll never forget the day. We went in there. Not a lot was going on, and we went through the procedures and everything. The doctor came in and he was like, yeah, I think you guys need to come look at this. And so he immediately, gave his professional opinion and voiced some concerns over what he saw. And he's like, yeah, I definitely think that needs to come out.
At this point yet, had they named it?
No.
Okay.
So I think they do that when they get, some good
Biopsy.
tissue and biopsy. Yeah. So, I'm 30 years old at the time. Lots going through your mind. So we set up my surgery, the schedule. He's like, yeah, that needs to come out. We'll get a surgeon on it. We get all that scheduled. 2 weeks go by. They definitely think it looks like something that, has got the texture of a cancer. And so just what's going through your mind those 2 weeks, right?
Yeah,
like,
man.
Well, I was going to ask you. I mean, is it hard to sleep? Where were you in that aspect?
I mean, it was, but I really think, God was extremely merciful. I just, coming to Christ in college and just the relationship I had with him, I was like, I definitely feel purchased and bought by him, security in him. But yeah, I mean, it really, it makes everything slow down, right? It's not about just the next dollar. It's not about everything. It really makes you hone in on relationships, and thinking about, how long do you have? At that point, you don't have much factual information. Everything's subjective in your mind. You don't have any objective information to make decisions on. Everything's new, and am I going to see this middle daughter of mine? How long do you have?
Yeah.
And so it's just really puts in perspective. But I think with all I was going through in my life, it just, be still and know that I'm God, and he's shown me many ways before his providence. And so anyways, 2 weeks later, my wife, mother-in-law, my mom standing over me. Pastor Steve walks in before my surgery, prays over me. I should also at this time share the precursor to all this, and that is that I lived around the corner from Pastor Steve at this time, and he would go on jogs frequently, and that the night before the wreck, Pastor Steve was running by my house and he got this overwhelming feeling from the Spirit to stop and pray right outside our driveway, specifically for us. So obviously the Lord was just in this and knew it was coming, and it was for a reason.
Wow.
Did you know that, Tommy?
I did, but
Yeah.
so, but you didn't know that at the time or that night. Like he didn't, he's not going to knock on your door and say, "I prayed for you," right?
No.
But it wasn't until
Yeah.
later, till all this happened, right? And then, wow,
Yeah, it's crazy.
that's amazing.
It's been a number of years, but I think he shared that with me before I was about to go in the surgery.
Right.
So, I remember when you told us the story that, and I think it's important to it, but the type of cancer that you get on your kidney like that, it goes undiagnosed. Like you don't feel anything, you don't know it's there until it's too late. Is that correct?
That's correct. That's
That's
correct.
why it's normally an like older people because it's gone on for so long. Yeah. So anyway, let's go through that. So 2 weeks.
So 2 weeks, I'm going under the knife. They go in my left side. They take my 11th rib out, and running joke is I did not get a second woman out of that wrist.
Yeah, I was going to say something
So-
about that. I was trying to think what the joke would be.
My wife, God bless her, I love her to death, but can't handle more than two. She's two in herself. I'm gonna get in trouble for that. Two in a good way.
I'm not hitting any buttons on this pad. Nope. That's all Tyler.
You need to
No,
hit
man.
that bleeper.
Tommy, just sit there and let Tyler talk.
Okay.
So she's right there by me
Yeah.
the whole time. I don't deserve her. But yeah, so I go under the knife. Everything is successful. They take it out. At this point, I don't remember the centimeter measurements and all that good stuff, but they send it off, and it's a renal cell carcinoma, they call it. And yes, it's like Jeff said, typically it's a very slow growing cancer. And the doctor mentioned that you'd have probably been in your 60s. You'd have woke up in the middle of the night and you would have been passing blood. And then it would have been stage 4. And, it would have been, really
late.
close to death. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's what's crazy to me, man, when I think about the story, because, obviously this medical professional is going to have some experience given their expertise. But, when you talked about earlier about, how much time do you have left, and then you think about, his explanation of it, it's like, man, if you would have been 60, if you fast forward, like you'd woke up in the middle of the night and realized you had 0 time left, or very little time left. And so, just how the events were orchestrated, man, for y'all to figure this out and catch it early and do treatment and all that stuff, man. And looking at you, if somebody just walks by and, out and about or at church, like no one would ever know that this is part of your story,
No.
That's,
Definitely got some gray hairs, but
yeah.
yeah.
You
Well,
look good.
not
You look
many.
wise,
No,
Tyler.
not
You look
many.
wise.
You don't have as many gray hairs as Justin.
But hey,
My head's buzzed. How can you even?
Well, I can still see the gray.
But is that the reason why it's buzzed? That's the question.
Whoa,
No.
guys.
No, so when a funny part of this that I'm just putting the connections to, you said that you pulled off the interstate and you don't remember anything else. Did you have a Hot Pocket for breakfast that morning and you passed out? Could it have been
No.
the first one? What?
I mean,
That's
yeah,
a-
that's a good point.
That's a bad joke. That's a bad joke.
I mean, I was just thinking about it. I mean, it was funny because we talked about it before, but no, the cool part
It's a
about
bad
the story
joke.
is the cool part about the story is that here you have this car wreck and you're not obviously anticipating that. Now you've got this car issue. You're 30 years old, got a little one on the way, all these things. And you're just like, I mean, I would imagine
Why?
first thought, why? Great. Now I have to deal with this. Not realizing, right, that this is God's grace and mercy because of all of that. Now you get a full body scan to find this tumor that you wouldn't have found otherwise. And, how did that change once you found that information out, the doctor passed that information along, what was your first thought in that?
Yeah, I mean, from anything, from them telling me, the running, I have the running record of the youngest patient. Both of my surgeon and urologist, they just don't see it in, young men like me. I just, know that God is faithful. He's for you and not against you. I mean, just the little things to know that He's there, and, who is this God, right? Who is this God that in a Trinity, right? The fullness of the union, perfect. Their relationship is so perfect. They did not need mankind, but yet we're going to allow them to come experience our glory, and we're going to be involved in the affairs of man. We're going to reveal ourselves to a young man who loves his family, has a wreck. We're going to heal his body.
Yeah.
Just, I don't know. It blows you away. It makes you want to worship. It just, that there's, I don't know any other reaction. I'm always been a deep thinker, and I'll think about it for the rest of my life.
I'll say this, man. What you may or may not know about Tyler, and that I absolutely love, which is why when you speak about the Lord, I always love it, because you are such an Old Testament buff when it comes to how you speak about the Lord and how you speak about things in the Old Testament. And you are very good at pulling the stories, and you're like, oh, and they've done this, and man, when they did that, and like sometimes you just talk about the Old Testament. I'm like, dude, this dude is wise beyond his years when it comes to that stuff. But man, I just love the love that you have for the Lord, and it shows in how you talk about it, man.
Very, the passion. There's some deep passion there, and I think it even beyond just the Old Testament, it's a little bit of Francis Chan in the way because it's. I mean, a lot of things that we glaze over, and there is so much that's built into just our every being that we don't even consider a lot of times. And you bring a perspective to that, like you just mentioned. I mean, people say, I could have thought that, and I did think, hey, that was really cool. The Lord caused this accident to happen and it revealed this, but it's even deeper than that. It's the creator of the universe who built the foundations and the corners of the earth and even beyond the earth, and created mankind, has a personal relationship with you, Tyler, and his Father and the Holy Spirit together.
Well, and dude, that's something that'll stay with you the rest of your life. That story, that story of his kindness, his mercy, and how things were revealed. That'll be something that you have a marker the rest of your life to be like, man, I know like what he did, even though there was an accident, right? Like the stuff that came afterward that was found, like that's something where you're just like, man, like you've gotten, and I know we'd all love to be with the Lord, as a believer. Like, hey, Paul even struggled with like, man, like I'm torn because I'd love to be with the Lord, but being here, like I'm also like spending time doing the mission that God's given Paul, but like we're torn in that. But like, man, if we kind of get in touch with our humanity for a minute, like, man, you do get a sweet gift of more time with your family and your kids, which is now grown to 3 kids. And so, it's like, man, there's some sweetness there.
That's a rock stacking moment right there.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing as far as a spiritual marker that, and perhaps those listening, perhaps you're in that moment where something's happened and you don't understand why, right? Like you're in it and you're questioning maybe, is God even in this? Why, how could God use something like this that's so bad for his glory? And, I just want to encourage you guys that are listening that God is good. He's trustworthy no matter what we're facing and dealing with. But if we will just walk in faith, trust in him, then we will see it. It's in those moments when we can't see it that that's where our faith comes to life. You know, we have to live in that when we can't understand and just trust. And so in the same situation, you know, that's the thing I love about the story is, you know, it's a modern version of, you know, like a Joseph. Like, why am I thrown into this pit? Why am I sold into slavery? Oh, it's to rescue all of God's people, you know? And so in the same light, I think it would make me, Tyler, if I were you and having that situation happen, it makes me want to go, okay, the Lord has a plan for me to stay on this earth longer. What do you want me to do with this time? What do you want me to do with this? You know, how am I investing in this? How am I worshiping? And so I think that's a cool part about this. So wherever you're at in this, guys, you know, just know that the Lord is good. And I just feel like somebody listening needs to hear that and knowing that you can trust him. So I want to thank you guys for listening to Tyler's story. It's so encouraging to all of us just to kind of reminisce and go back through that again. And just know that God is good and he loves you. He's got a plan for you. Thanks, guys.